Hello everybody, Catchy1383 with Catchy Gaming, covering my weekly Epic Store free games, or game, depending on what week it is. This is episode 47, and we have two games today, Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2. So I'll admit right off the bat, based on the first appearances of this game, I was kind of a little about the whole entire thing. But this was a surprise. A very pleasant surprise, actually. So Guacamelee is a Metroidvania-style action platformer set in, I guess, traditional Mexican culture and folklore, at least according to the description. And although the cutscenes are rather simplistic, it's actually a rather fluid game with a very, I wanted to say, somewhat complex combo style for fighting. Anyways, let me go back just a little bit. So you play as Juan, who seems extremely disinterested in whatever happens, but ends up getting involved anyways in the story's plot. So you start off by playing as Juan, where a friar comes and gets him, and like I said, he just doesn't look happy at all during this part. And then out of nowhere, the main villain comes and kills Juan right off the bat because he isn't a luchador. While in the land of the dead, a very mystical luchador mask appears and Juan is brought back to life as a luchador. And then you go on your adventure to save Lupitia, I think that's what her name was, from the main villain. Now, I didn't get too far into the game, mainly because I have a lot to do today, but from what I played, it was fun. This one I would definitely pick up. Like I said, it had a very surprisingly fluid combat system. Yeah, you can see me messing up here just a little bit. And I'm somewhat actually intrigued by the mythological slash folklore side of it as well. It's always been sort of a subject matter that has always interested me. And you can definitely tell that this game was heavily influenced by Metroid. I mean, they don't even try and hide it. Just look at these statues. They are clearly inspired by Metroids from the Metroid game. And there's also references in this second one as well. And there's probably more later on, but that's as far as I go. But there's also another one that's very, very obvious. And of course, that being the Chozo statue that you just saw me smash here. So this game is going to be on my list of games to play in the future. And that list is just a mile long. And it keeps growing and growing and growing. Then there's Guacamelee 2, which sort of takes place at the end of the first one. And here you can see on the screen where they make a Castlevania Symphony of the Night reference. Kind of elicited a chuckle from me when that happened. Anyways, this one starts off at the end of the first one where they do an easier version of the boss fight. I'm guessing mainly due to the achievement that you get that says, I remember this being harder. So then you fast forward 7 years into the future. Juan isn't as thin or muscular as he once was, and he now has 2 children. And in order to help prepare for dinner after he ate all the avocados, he goes on to buy more avocados. And to be honest, this is where the story kind of goes off the rails. An alternate version of, I guess, I don't know what his name was, I can't remember. He probably just said it, but it's scrolling by so fast I can't really tell you. I'll just call him the Goat Man. He comes and gets Juan, and he takes him to what they call the darkest timeline. I can't help but feel like they're poking fun at comic books slash movies at this point in time. But they take the time to make a little bit of a joke. Here they make a joke where it's the dark timeline, not the darkest timeline, because he keeps messing up his portals. But it's clearly a reference to Limbo. Then they move on to a city that's supposed to be named after one of them, or kind of named after one of them from various fighting games. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but you have like bad hombres, bad dudes, triple dragon instead of double dragon. You get the point. It's based off of old fighting games, side-scroll fighting games, and it's the baddest timeline. So anyways, you finally make it to the darkest timeline. And you find out that, yes, the main bad guy from the last one has died, but someone else has risen who's super strong, and I suspect it's Juan who's just turned evil. And you're killed by the Mask Guardian from the last game as well, so you can get the mask, and he more or less powers up like a Power Ranger when he grabs the mask. Anyways, I would say this is where the game actually begins, all jokes aside. So yet again, it still has that same fluid combat style, and it felt a little bit on the samey side, which I would have to probably get through more of this game to see how much more of a difference they made. Yes, I got to a part where I got a similar move, which was the Rooster Uppercut, where they did add an element where you had to use that to break a shield around enemies. But otherwise, it felt very similar to the first one, which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, it felt pretty sweet. It was smooth, the controls were responsive, it was rather fluid, especially with the combat system, so I'm doubting this one will disappoint. I shouldn't say I'm doubting. I have no reason to suspect that it will not be as well made in comparison to the first one. I don't know. We'll have to play it some more at some point. So yes, I would definitely recommend both of these games for this week. Anyways, that's going to be enough for now. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching and have a good one.